This product is not yet rated.
Welcome to the first Mafia 2 podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the extended 90-second trailer, and I am here with Denby Grace, producer of Mafia 2, and Jack Scalisi, director of production for Mafia 2. I'm Elizabeth Toby, the community manager here at 2K, and how about you guys talk a little bit about what you did on this trailer in general before we start into specific questions about the trailer?
Okay, well, I came up with the initial concept. I ran it by the team at 2K Check. We kind of iterated on it a little bit, and we came up with what you see today. And I also edited the piece, did the color correction, sound design, pretty much everything, production-wise.
How about you, Denby?
So mainly my role on this thing was to just make sure, hassle everybody, make sure everyone was doing what they're supposed to do, critique where necessary, and make sure basically everything was done to the time and the schedule that we had.
Getting into the trailer in specific, the big question asked is this in-game footage? Can you talk about how you captured this footage for this trailer?
Well, it was done by the team at 2K Check, the same team that's doing the cutscenes for the game. So they used their cutscene editor tool along with the game engine to produce them. So some of the scenes you're seeing we created specifically for this trailer, because we don't have the camera angles in the game like that, you know, really up close and personal with Mama, things like that. Other places, those are scenes directly taken from the cutscene.
Does that mean that none of this was CGI, all of it was in-game footage that would be comparable to the experience they'd have in the game?
Yes, you can expect the cutscenes to look just like that. Every model you saw was an in-game model. It's a model created for the game to be used in the game. Nothing was really up-resed or anything like that. We didn't go to a CG company and say, hey, here's our game assets, make them look better. That is what you're going to see in the game.
Why did you decide to use a church? Is that an actual church from in-game or real life or something that you're going to see in the city when you're playing the game?
Well, Denby, we have a church in the game, right? Is that still in the game?
Yeah. We have the church. The church appears in the city, and it just it's just there. The player can see it. One thing that we don't do in the game is you can't actually enter the church. We sort of made that part bespoke for the trailer. It was sort of like, I think it comes from Jack's experiences in his childhood of being forced to go to church by Mama and stuff like that. So there was a real inspiration. Is at heart, I think Vito's a good Catholic boy and wants to do the right thing, you know.
Let's talk about some of the characters you see in the trailer. While Vito's confessing, there are a lot of faces that flash by. Gangsters, a detective. Are these characters you're going to see in-game, and are they going to be part of the plot?
Yes, every character you see, with the exception of the prostitutes, will be part of the plot.
Yes, I think what Jack's alluding to is the prostitutes are more of a sort of fanciful thing, a sort of a side delight, if you want.
That was actually my next question about those ladies. Who's the guy sitting with them? Is that in-game, and will people ever get to see women like them?
Yes, those are some of the prostitutes we have in the game. We have various different prostitutes. That scene is taking place in a brothel, and that is Joe Barbaro, the main character of Vito. It's his best friend.
Let's switch gears and talk about some of the action that we see in the game. There's quite a lot that goes on when all those little scenes flash by. Is there going to be driving in Mafia 2? How big a part is driving going to play in the game?
So yeah, absolutely, there's driving in Mafia 2. It was one of the big things that I think people enjoyed about Mafia 1, and we feature realistic cars from the era and all the things you'd expect that comes with creating a sort of period sort of game set in the 40s and 50s, and the driving supports that absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about the fighting. We see an array of different kinds of fighting in there. Are you going to be able to shoot, punch, everything like what you see in the trailer?
Yes, there is a melee system, and Denby can detail that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a melee system in the game, and I think in future sort of podcasts and future sort of features, we're going to go into a lot of depth on that and what we can do on that. But there's weapons from the era as you'd expect, but then there is quite an in-depth melee system that we think is going to be really rewarding to the player. You know, it really sort of creates that sort of visceral sort of feel that you would expect of a sort of mature game of this ilk.
Switching gears again, people raved about the music. Can you talk about the song that you hear in the trailer? Is there anywhere that people can get them? Is there a reason why you chose those in specific?
The first thing you hear is actually Deck the Halls, popular Christmas song. We wanted to open up something that everyone's familiar with, Christmas in church, wintertime, snow. So it's something that everyone can identify with. Whether you're in the UK, you're in France, you're in Germany, you're in the US. Everyone knows Christmas, everyone knows church, family, things like that, and everyone knows that song. For the action montage, we wanted something that would reflect the period in which the game takes place, which is the 1950s, and we needed something that could really drive the action, and that's why we chose Little Richard. And that song is called Long Tall Sally. You might remember it from the movie Predator, and everyone really loved it, and we're really happy.
Yeah, I think sort of most of the MP3 download sites will sort of carry that tune. It's a very famous tune, so if people want to go out there and sort of listen to it some more. He's a great artist from the era, and I think we all love a little bit of Little Richard in our hearts.
Yeah, and we're also going to be releasing a soundtrack, and we're going to try to make sure that all the key songs from the game make it onto the soundtrack.
Sort of started answering my next question. Will there be more music like this in the game?
Of course.
Lots of it?
Lots of it, yes. This is the biggest soundtrack 2K has done to date.
Let's talk about that new last 30 seconds of the trailer. This is entirely new footage that people haven't seen. Why did you leave it off the first time around, and what do you think it adds when you put it in?
Initially, the first trailer was done for our exclusive announcement on the sort of VGA Awards, and we were given a pretty strict 60-second spot, so we wanted to make sure we sort of hit all of our goals within those 60 seconds. But then we really felt like the story that Jack had, the small sort of trailer story that Jack had sort of constructed wasn't sort of finished. It didn't feel done, so we kind of added this sort of ending and nice wrap up of the sort of trailer story, and we felt that I don't know, Vito coming out of the church, putting Momo in the car before he heads off into town with the boys was kind of like a nice ending. It closed the door and hey, he is a looks after his mother and all this sort of stuff, but ultimately the Mafia sort of rules the roost when it's all that sort of stuff comes into play.
So who are those guys that Vito gets in the car with, and where are they going, or is that left up to imagination?
Well, it's 4 guys in a car.
To answer your first part of that question as well, they're sort of Vito's best buddies. Joe's in there. There's Henry Tomasino, who we've been introduced to before, and then there's another guy who we're not really talking about at this time. But you
remember him from the first trailer too.
Yeah,
he's the drunk guy in the backseat.
Yeah, he's a guy that you'll see quite a lot. But hey, we're gonna introduce him a little bit later.
Now, how about the cityscape that we see when they're getting into the cars? Is that actually the city that you'll see when you're driving around?
Yes, that is the city. We basically just stuck the camera at one specific spot in the city, scripted those animations, and it played.
Can you expect the entire city to look approximately like that, or do different sections of the city look distinctly different?
Just like any real city, you're going to have different parts of each area is going to have its own flavor, its own ethnic makeup. It really mimics real life. And you're also going to have the game taking place at different times of day, different weather, so it's not all going to be at night snowing.
Final question before we go. When do we get the next trailer?
You can expect the next trailer to come out